remote space station at the edge of known space. Human protagonist, Commander Elias Ward. Once a war tactician, now forgotten, stationed in exile. Station smells of metal, ozone, and recycled air. Humanity is seen as loud, young, and reckless by the galaxy. Inciting mystery. Elias receives an ancient signal. Signal predates humanity's recorded history. Comes from a civilization believed extinct, the Aurelian conquered. Message is not a demand, it is a farewell. We are running out of time. We require a witness. Aurelians never ask for help. They ruled stars when Earth had stone tools. Why contact one human? Why now? Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The station at the edge of known space was never quiet. It only pretended to be. Metal groaned as it cooled. Old pipes clicked like tired bones. Somewhere deep in the walls, ancient fans pushed recycled air that smelled faintly of oil, ozone, and regret. Commander Elias Ward stood alone in the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back, staring at the slow drift of dead stars. He had been assigned to Station Helios 9 for 3 years, which meant he had been forgotten. Helios 9 was not important. It was not strategic. It was not dangerous enough to matter. It existed to listen, to watch empty space, and to make sure nothing unexpected appeared. Nothing ever did. Elias had once commanded fleets. He had planned battles that decided the fate of entire systems. Now, his most difficult decision was whether to drink synthetic coffee or recycled tea. The galaxy moved on without him. A soft chime echoed through the deck. Unidentified transmission detected, the station AI said. Its voice was neutral, flat, and completely uninterested. Origin unknown. Signal strength inconsistent with known civilizations. Elias frowned. Put it on screen. The stars vanished. In their place, lines of light unfolded across the viewport, forming symbols that hurt to look at. They bent at angles that made his eyes ache, rearranging themselves faster than his mind could follow. This isn't Council tech, Elias muttered. The AI paused. That alone was unsettling. Commander, it said slowly, the signal predates all known galactic records. Elias felt his spine stiffen. Predates how far? Estimated origin, at least 90,000 years old. Elias took a slow breath. That was impossible. Civilizations didn't last that long. Stars didn't last that long in the same configuration. Even the oldest known species barely reached half that age before fatting, fragmenting, or destroying themselves. Translate, he said. The symbols froze. Then the voice came. It was layered, not loud, not threatening, calm, ancient, tired. To whoever still listens among the younger races. We are nearing our final dusk. We do not ask for rescue. We ask for a witness. The transmission ended. The deck fell silent. Elias realized his hands were shaking. A witness, he whispered. To what? The screen flickered again. Star maps appeared, hundreds of them. Systems Elias recognized, systems he didn't. One by one they dimmed, not exploded, not destroyed. Gone. As if reality itself had been gently turned off. Elias swallowed. AI, he said, voice low, identify the source civilization. Another pause. There is only one possible match, the AI replied. Designation, the Aurelian conquered. Elias felt cold. The Aurelians were a myth, a footnote, an unanswered question buried in ancient ruins and distorted signals. The civilization that ruled stars before humanity learned to shape metal. They were supposed to be extinct. And they had just said goodbye. The Aurelian vessel arrived 12 hours later. It did not jump into space. Space simply folded, as if embarrassed to be in its way. The ship appeared without light or sound. No engines, no exhaust. It looked less like a machine and more like an idea given form, smooth, dark, and quietly impossible. Elias stood on the docking platform alone. No honor guard, no cheering crew. Just him. The air shimmered. A ramp extended, grown rather than built. Symbols pulsed faintly along its surface. "Commander Elias Ward," the AI said behind him. "The vessel has opened a path. They are waiting." Elias straightened his jacket. "Of course they are," he muttered. He stepped forward. The moment his boot touched the ramp, gravity shifted. Not stronger, not weaker, just different. Like the ship was politely informing reality that it had its own rules. Inside, the vessel was vast. Curved halls of living crystal reflected soft light. The air hummed with energy he felt in his chest more than his ears. Figures emerged from the light. Tall, slender, pale as if carved from moonlight. Their eyes glowed faintly gold, ancient and calm. Long crests swept back from their heads, marked with tiny points of light that pulsed like distant stars. Aurelians. They bowed as one. "Human commander," one said, "we thank you for answering." Elias blinked. "You called one forgotten officer on a dead station," he said. "You got him." The Aurelian regarded him quietly. "That is why we called you. The journey took 3 days. Or maybe it took none at all." Elias could not tell. Stars bent and folded outside the viewing chamber. Entire galaxies slid past like reflections in water. The Aurelians moved with slow purpose, never rushing, never hesitating. They did not speak unless spoken to. Finally, Elias asked the question burning in his chest. "Why me?" The Aurelian beside him folded its hands. "Because you are no longer chasing power," it replied, "and you have not yet stopped caring." Elias snorted. "Care is a bad habit in my line of work." "And yet," the Aurelian said gently, "you still have it." They arrived at the Aurelian home system on the 4th cycle. Elias stopped breathing. The star was red, not violently so, not exploding. It was old, tired. Its light washed the system in deep crimson, casting long shadows across massive structures that drifted in orbit. Cities floated like frozen music, towers of crystal and light connected by glowing bridges, entire continents shaped by careful hands over millennia. It was beautiful. And it was dying. "The star is collapsing," Elias said softly. "Yes," the Aurelian replied, "earlier than it should." "You did something to it." A pause. "Yes." They descended to the homeworld. The surface was alive with color, gardens of light, rivers of energy, structures that sang quietly as the wind passed through them. And everywhere, Aurelians were preparing. Not for survival. For endings. Libraries were being sealed, memory vaults closed, monuments completed. Elias felt anger rise in his chest. "You're just letting this happen," he demanded. "You have technology that makes our best science look like fire sticks." "We do," the Aurelian said, "and we accept our end." "That's insane." "No," it replied calmly, "it is peaceful." Elias clenched his fists. "Peaceful for who?" They reached a great hall. A circle of elders waited within, their presence pressed against Elias like deep water. "We are the Aurelian conquered," the eldest said. "We have watched stars be born and fade. All things end." "Not if you fight," Elias shot back. The elder looked at him kindly. "That is the difference between us." The truth came slowly. Long ago, the Aurelians tried to cheat entropy. They altered their star, extended its life, bent physics itself. It worked. For thousands of years. Then the cost came due. The star began to fail in ways no equation could undo. We broke a law older than ourselves, the elder said. Now it is correcting us. Elias paced the chamber. So evacuate, you have colonies. Insufficient, another elder said, and our people resist leaving. Why? Because survival at any cost is not our way. Elias stopped. You're willing to let billions die because of philosophy. The elder met his eyes. We are willing to accept an ending. Silence stretched. Finally, Elias spoke, voice rough. Then why call me? The elders exchanged glances. Because humanity does not accept endings, the eldest said. You rage against them. You survive out of stubborn defiance. Elias laughed bitterly. That's not a virtue, that's fear. Perhaps, the elder said, but fear builds ships, fear crosses stars, fear refuses the dark. The elder stepped forward. We do not ask you to save us, he said. We ask you to decide. Decide what? If our legacy should fade or be carried forward. The floor illuminated, archives opened, knowledge beyond imagining, technologies that could reshape reality. Elias stared. You're offering this to us. To humanity, the elder said, if you choose to help. And if we do, then you will remember us, the elder replied. That is enough. Elias felt the weight settle on his shoulders. This was not diplomacy. This was judgment. He looked out through the hall's open dome, at the dying star painting the sky red. Humanity had been called many things by the galaxy. Loud, young, reckless. Dangerous. No one had ever asked them to carry the fire before. Elias took a slow breath. I don't know if my people will agree, he said, but I know one thing. The elders waited. Humans don't watch the dark quietly, Elias said. We either light a torch or burn ourselves trying. The Aurelian elder inclined his head. Then you are the right witness. Outside the star flared, just a little brighter than before. And somewhere deep in its core, time began to run out. The Aurelian star flared again. Not violently. Not yet. But every scientist in the great observatories felt it. The subtle change in radiation, the wrong kind of tremor in spacetime, the kind that meant borrowed time was almost gone. Commander Elias Ward stood alone on a high terrace overlooking the capital city. The crystal towers reflected the red light like a sea of frozen flames. Behind him, the Aurelian elders waited. You have seen our truth, the eldest said. Now you must choose what to tell your people. Elias did not turn around. If I tell them everything, he said, they'll want your technology. We expect this. They'll want leverage, control, guarantees. We expect this too. And some will say letting you die is cheaper. The elders did not argue. Elias exhaled slowly. Humanity isn't noble, he said. We don't help because it's pure. We help because we can't stand knowing we didn't try. The eldest inclined his head. That may be enough. The transmission to Earth took 20 minutes. The argument took 12 hours. Elias stood before a joint human council made of politicians, admirals, economists, and scientists. Faces from worlds spread across light years. Most of them had never seen an Aurelian in person. They saw numbers. Costs, risks, probability curves. The evacuation will strain supply lines, one governor said. The technology exchange is tempting, an admiral admitted carefully. Tempting, Elias snapped. It's bait and you know it. The Aurelians are offering relics that could rewrite physics, the admiral replied. We'd be fools not to secure them. And monsters if we take them while their star kills them, Elias shot back. A murmur spread. One counselor leaned forward. Commander Ward, this operation risks destabilizing half the frontier, for a civilization that already accepted extinction. Elias stared at him. They accepted extinction because they think survival has to be elegant, he said. We know better. Silence. Finally, a scientist spoke, old, tired, honest. If we do nothing, she said quietly, we prove the Aurelians right. That survival belongs only to those who planned first. Elias nodded. That's not who we are. The vote came down to one margin. Approval. Limited, conditional, dangerous. But approval. Humanity would try. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Civilian cargo fleets changed course. Old colony haulers came out of retirement. Mining ships stripped their drills to make room for people. Hospital barges were retrofitted in weeks instead of years. It was messy. It was loud. It barely worked. Which meant it was human. Elias returned to the Aurelian world with the first wave. The elders met him again beneath the glowing dome. We did not expect this many, the eldest admitted, watching the human ships fill the sky. We don't do things halfway, Elias said. Evacuation began. At first it went smoothly. Aurelians moved with calm grace. Families carried memory crystals and living art. Children stared wide-eyed at human crews who smiled too much and talked too fast. Then the star flared again. This time alarms screamed. One evacuation city, an entire floating habitat, lost stabilization. Human engineers rushed in. Aurelian systems resisted their interference, elegant safeguards refusing crude fixes. The city fell. 200,000 lives vanished into red light. Silence followed. Aurelians gathered in the plazas, mourning without sound. Elders turned toward Elias. This, one said softly, is why we should have accepted the end. Elias felt the words like knives. I won't pretend this is clean, he said, or fair or guaranteed. He met their eyes. But humans don't stop because it hurts. The star flared again. Human engineers tore apart Aurelian schematics and rebuilt them with stubborn violence. Where Aurelian designs sought perfection, humans sought function. They welded solutions that offended physics. They forced systems to cooperate. They turned evacuation into controlled chaos. An Aurelian technician watched one human ship roar to life with patched engines. That design should not function, she said. The human engineer grinned. It doesn't, he replied, it survives. Wave after wave lifted off. Cities emptied. Worlds went dark. The star howled. At the final hour, Elias stood with the elders one last time. You must leave, Elias urged. The eldest shook his head. Someone must remain. Elias understood. You'll be remembered, he said. That is enough, the elder replied. The final ships fled as the star collapsed inward, folding space in a silent scream that lit the void red, then white, then nothing. The Aurelian homeworld was gone. But the Aurelian people were not. Years later, historians would argue about the cost. They would debate whether it was worth it. But the survivors remembered something else. They remembered humans arriving without certainty, without grace, without permission from the universe. They remembered humanity carrying the fire when the old stars failed. Elias Ward never returned to command fleets. He stayed with the Aurelian refugees, helped build new worlds, learned their songs, taught their children human words for hope and stubbornness. The galaxy changed. And when the next ancient civilization faced the dark, they did not ask the elders. They asked the humans. And